Yes, sir. I'm calling for the UFO Reporting Center in Washington.
Oh, yes.
And we had an unnamed caller left a message at our office today regarding something that you were supposed to have seen several days ago.
Where are you calling from?
Seattle, Washington.
Oh, no, that was my son left you that.
I see.
No, I didn't see it myself. This happened about a block away from where I live. About 15 school children saw it, and the teacher.
Oh, I see.
And one of the school children was my daughter. That's how it came to mind. Boy, it was a wonderful sighting. Jesus. The thing hung there for 5 minutes, and all the kids just stared at it. Do you want me to tell you about it? Or?
Yes, sir. We'd like to hear all about it.
Well, there's a little canyon behind it. You know where Encinitas is?
No, sir.
No.
Well, I do by the map.
About 30 miles north of San Diego.
Okay.
Right along the ocean. My children go to a school called Ocean Knoll, and there's a small canyon right behind the school. And at 8:30, they saw this thing go down in that canyon. Now, whether it ever landed there or just hovered down in there, I don't know. And they were trying to climb. There was a fence around the play yard, of course, and they couldn't get out of the play yard, but they were trying to climb the fence so they could look down in the canyon, but they couldn't see it. And then an hour later, at 9:30, this thing came up out of the canyon and just hovered right at eye level where they could look right in the windows and everything, see the people inside. Jesus. And it just hovered there for about 5 minutes. And finally it raised up, and it came over, and it circled the schoolyard. And with all the kids looking at it. And then they say it disappeared just by going right straight up in the air till it disappeared out of sight. Now, the strange thing about this whole thing, they run in and tell their teacher what they saw, and the teacher says, just forget it. Forget you saw anything. And I can't understand that mentality. It just baffles me. And the teacher that stood there and saw it with him told the kids to forget they saw anything.
Right. Well, we run into this.
You run into that all the time?
Yes.
It baffles me and enrages me at the same time that they would tell to see a UFO is one of the sights to see in this century. One of the great sights, if you're lucky enough to see one. And there my daughter saw one and told to forget about it.
Right. Now, how old was your daughter?
She's 10.
10, okay.
She's 10, yeah.
That's a good observing age.
Yeah, and there was a girl that had a pair of binoculars, just happened to have a pair, they were going to watch birds or something. And she watched this thing through binoculars. And we went over to the house to see her. And because the teacher, we didn't see her at the house, she wasn't there. But my wife saw her later that day in a store. And she said, tell us about the UFO. And she said, I didn't see anything, we didn't see anything. And the girl was probably the best that saw the thing best of all of them,
Uh-huh.
But turned off by the teacher's attitude. And another little boy that was all excited about it and everything, his reaction was the same thing. That wasn't nothing. But at the time, my daughter was telling me he was all excited and he knew what a UFO was and everything, but that they turned him off on it. Did you run into that all the time?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
sure. Now, do you remember the exact date on that?
Yeah, it was Friday a week ago in the morning. I'd have to get a calendar to tell you.
That would be a week ago last Friday?
This last Friday.
Okay, then that would probably be May 6th.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Now, the real story is to get these kids together and get them let them tell you what they saw. But it was, we did talk to some other kids that saw it. There was about 5 kids in one family, and they were all excited about it. And I tried to corroborate what everyone said, about it didn't make any noise and didn't make any noise. But one boy insisted it didn't make any noise, but my daughter says it did make a noise, like a slight roar,
Uh-huh.
But they all agreed on the color, and they all agreed that it had windows in the side. They all agreed that you could look in and see people inside. I say people, and they said that the one boy said they looked like they had masks over their faces. And my little girl said they looked like their faces were all rough, like.
Uh-huh.
Funny observation, Yeah. But they generally agreed where it was and what it did and how it disappeared. They all agreed on that, It circled over the schoolyard and just went right on straight up in the air, and they never saw it again. Now, this was a UFO. This is no helicopter or an airplane, because my little girl has seen thousands of them, She couldn't possibly have.
Okay, now what kind of description did she give of this vehicle?
Silver.
Silver?
And she said, Daddy, it looked just like a plate. It was flat on the bottom and round on the top. So, you know, the traditional saucer thing, you know.
Right.
And it had, and they made another observation there, that as it caught the light of the sun, certain parts of it would just flash brilliantly. Now, whether that was just they seem to think it was a reflection from the sun on some reflectors that were on the object itself, you know.
Right.
But it flashed brilliantly, and it had lights on it. Yellow, blue lights on it that blinked.
And that object actually came up over the schoolyard?
Came up, yeah. But the best observation was when it came out of this little canyon behind. Now I went down in that canyon. I'm disabled right now, and I'm on crutches, and I couldn't really get around very good down there. And we covered about maybe 1/4 of the canyon the next 2 days, trying to see if we could see anything down there, you know. But it's so bushy and hard to get around there. I really couldn't go over it right. It'd take able-bodied, you know, 2 or 3 able-bodied men could go over that in an hour, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's just a small canyon, just a little thing.
Okay. Did your daughter make any drawings or sketches?
Yeah, she did make me a little drawing, yeah. I asked her to draw me, and we had her, I guess she still got it, I don't know, was around here.
What was her first name?
Her first name is...
Okay. And how many witnesses or kids do you think there were?
I think there was at least 15 kids.
And the teacher?
And the teacher, I know her name, but I've forgotten it right now.
Okay.
Anyway. But you know, I called the San Diego paper. They had no interest in it at all. I called Channel 8, which is the local TV, and they had no interest in it at all. I thought society, I was disappointed. I thought society was more sophisticated at this time on that sort of thing. But they're hung up on their old fears, I guess. They always did, you know. Something you don't understand, forget it.
Right. Well, this is very interesting in as much as we had a somewhat similar incident happen near Downey on the 1st, Monday the 2nd of May.
Up in Downey, yeah.
Right.
That's in the heart of the city.
Yeah, right. The object came down right over the schoolyard, right in the middle of recess.
It did. Well, the same thing happened here, yeah. And how was that described?
Just as a very bright silver object. They couldn't make out any real structural parts on the object. Of the brilliant light. And, of course, in this particular case, the students, they got quite panic-stricken and ran into the school. And by the time they looked back out again, the thing had gone. But
what day was that? Was that anywhere near the Friday that...
It was May 2nd, Monday, May 2nd.
So that was in the same week, wasn't it?
Right.
Geez, that's interesting. But they didn't have the same situation there where the teacher told the kids not to... Or maybe they were older
Not to my knowledge. I talked to one of the girls' father, and he had pretty well quizzed his daughter regarding the incident, and he was going to get in contact with other parents whose children were involved and see if they couldn't correlate all the information.
Were they older, or what grade were they?
Grade school.
Grade school, elementary, huh?
Right.
Yeah, this is elementary too, yeah. Up to 6th grade, I guess.
In fact, I think his daughter was about 7.5.
Oh.
Something like that.
And how many people saw it? How many children saw it?
I don't remember the group, but it was a pretty large group of kids.
Geez, only 5 days away, huh? They saw it on Monday, and then this thing was seen again on that same Friday. What in the world it would do? What would it be doing down in that canyon for an hour? Do you have any idea?
Well, of course, going down into canyons like that is quite common for these vehicles. But what is really important is the fact that the incident occurred during daylight hours, which is very rare.
Yeah. Oh, was the other one in the evening or something?
No, that was 11 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, be darned. Somehow, they must have had some business in there. They were collecting soil samples.
Oh, so they're ever doing something like that or getting out of the way of radar.
Or getting out of the way of radar, huh?
Right.
Oh. And down there, my daughter remembers that it was exactly an hour because she saw it go down, and she remembered they come out for recess at 9:30 again. And then when it come up out of the canyon, she happened to see it. The kids all stood there with their mouth hanging open.
Okay, if we got a questionnaire off to you, could you kind of work with your daughter to fill that in?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Also, if we could get some investigators in there, would you kind of operate as the hub to get them started?
I would be glad to cooperate with anybody. It just infuriates me that they're going to just, ignore the whole thing.
Where did your son finally get our number?
I gave it to him.
Oh, I see.
I called the sheriff department and they gave me your number.
Great.
But since I don't have very much money right now, I didn't call because I found out I was out of town. I just couldn't afford it. So he has more money. He said, "Give me a number, I'll call it." So he did. That's how that happened. But if you want to send anybody around, I'd be glad to cooperate with them and show them where it is in the canyon.
Was there any estimated distance between the witnesses and the object?
I estimate that I don't think it could have been over 100 foot. They were right on top of the thing, staring right into it. Yeah, the average flying, as you know, the average flying saucer or UFO sighting is we saw two objects fly at approximately 5,000 feet going northwest or something.
Right.
Well, they're valueless. This was a wonderful sighting. The ground level, and they're going to just ignore it. I can't believe it.
Well, we'll get somebody in there to dig that out.
I wish you would. I don't have the time, or I can't do it because I'm disabled, but I would cooperate. I'd love to cooperate with you.
Well, we sure appreciate that very much.
Okay.
And thank you again for talking to me.
Is this the hub where the UFO information is sent in, or is that?
Well, it's a national center, but we're a private scientific organization working on this subject.
Oh, is that right?
Right.
Oh.
It's not in any way associated with the government.
Oh, so it's all by public,
it's a self-funded organization.
Self-funded organization.
Right.
Yeah. Good. All right, well, I'm glad to hear it. Well, send somebody around. We'll dig that story out. I'd like to do that.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Bye.